We are a very poor podcast. No princes or royal bank accounts to keep us going. As poor podcasters without a penny to our name, we humbly ask that you support our show at patreon.com/WSScastProductions. For less than the cost of escaping an arranged marriage, you can support our show. There's bonus episodes, early access, and exclusive content, all just for you. Don't miss the opportunity of a lifetime. Go to patreon.com/WSScastProductions. If loving this show is wrong, you don't want to be right.
Good morning, my listeners!
Fuck you!
Yes, and fuck you too! Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to give you a traditional New York greeting. I'm your host, Akeem Waseska, and I'm joined by Ryan Semidors.
I'm still a little mad that I don't get to be Akeem, but it works out too well with the names.
I debated how I wanted to do that, but I couldn't find any other name that fit yours as well.
It works. I can't be too mad, but damn it.
Well, hey, maybe in the sequel, Semi gets some shit going on, and we'll get to find out. I actually have no idea what they're going to do for the sequel. I would ask a question in the list later, but I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't.
I've heard, like the thing that I've heard regarding that is that it might be centered around tracking down Akeem's son in America. But that makes me uncomfortable because it's like he was sowing his royal oats even though he was over there for love. I don't know.
So if that's the case, and I know we're getting really off topic, who plays the son, do you think? Or do we already have a cast list for that?
I have no idea.
Let me see. I'm gonna look it up. Actually, I'm curious. Who would you peg for the son of Eddie Murphy in that?
Oh. Jay Farrow.
Let's see here. Well, so Lisa McDowell, so she's still in it. Okay. Tracy Morgan's in it.
Way to start this like right before we get into the podcast.
We probably should have, honestly. Well, this is a fun conversation. So they have Jermaine Fowler, and he's playing a character named Lavelle. But I don't think that's who it is. Because there's also Lavelle's mother is a separate character, and Lisa's a character, so I think that's someone else. Yeah, not really sure. Now I'm just very curious. Also, I'm looking at the picture of Eddie Murphy in this, and he does look like he's aged quite a bit. I mean, I get it's been 30 years, but, like, damn.
It's been like you can't compare today Eddie Murphy to 80s Eddie Murphy.
But like I just didn't expect him his age to show quite as much, but I guess at the same time I'm just used to seeing him as a young person or as a donkey in Shrek.
Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah. For those who are wondering why we're taking so long to mention it, you can listen to the intro song
Coming to America by The System.
And then the links down below for Patreon, YouTube, Acast, Google, Apple Podcast, Google something, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Podbean, all that stuff. And if you want to Google us, you can find us. We're also on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. If you want to reach out to us and tell us why we should be looking this stuff up before our show, or later in the show, not at the beginning of the show, to really lose you guys. Ryan, if they want to email us directly with their suggestions or questions, where could they email us at?
They can email us at Zamunda Forever! I mean, excuse me. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
And that won't be the last reference we make. Today, we wrap up our Black Film Month with 1988's classic Coming to America, directed by John Landis and written by David Sheffield, Barry W. Blostein, and Eddie Murphy. The film made a total of $288,752,000 worldwide, which is over 7 times what it cost.
Yeah, when I tell you this is a classic, a black classic, yes, this is what I mean. Those are ridiculous numbers in 1988.
Now, to be fair, Eddie Murphy was pretty popular across the whole spectrum in terms of comedy. I think the name alone was definitely enough to draw people in.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like you see a lot of classic tropes in black comedy that kind of find their root here, or are just put on beautiful display in this movie. So I couldn't not have Black Film Month without doing this.
No, and I think it also timed itself really well because of the new movie. I don't even think we planned for that until we saw it on the list, and it's like, oh, why don't we just do this with it?
Yeah, I honestly just had it by itself, and then it was just like, oh, there's a sequel? Let's do it.
Like, timing was uncanny, and I'm glad we did it. So, the only way it could have been better if we'd done this around Black Panther 2. The cast includes Paul Bates, Madge Sinclair, Arsenio Hall, Frankie Faison. Is it Faison?
Frankie Faison.
Faison, okay. John Amos, Allison Dean, Sherry Headley. Is that Eric, right? Is that
Eric, yep.
Okay. Eric LaSalle, and the king of comedy himself, Eddie Murphy. I don't know why James Earl Jones didn't make this list. I know he's in here.
How do you not have Mufasa? I mean, King Jaffe Joffer.
I mean, the CNN guy. This is CNN. This movie also won some awards, including an Image Award for Outstanding Motion Picture and Outstanding Supporting Actor, a Golden Screen Award winner, a BMI Film Music Award to Nile Rodgers, and a Film Comedy Award for Funniest Supporting Actor.
Fantastic. Yeah, this soundtrack went hard. The soundtrack was real good.
Oh, it was solid stuff. Very solid stuff. Ryan, I'll send this over to you for some fun facts.
I have 4 fun facts for you today, and that's enough with the F alliteration. The McDowell's restaurant was actually a Wendy's on Queens Boulevard that was scheduled to be closed for renovation. The production had approval from McDonald's corporate headquarters, which apparently didn't pass the word down to the local outlets. On the day the McDowell's sign went up, the manager of McDonald's, half a mile up the road, arrived with his lawyer and took photographs, telling the set dressing crew they were going to be sued for everything they were worth. The restaurant remained in business until early 2013. The building, unfortunately, has since been demolished.
That's kind of cool. It's been in business for that long, though.
I mean, this absolutely would have revitalized that location. 100%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to be the guy who took a picture there saying, hey, I went to where King Nakeem went to.
Yeah. God. Next up, after the makeup and clothing was applied for the Jewish character Saul, Eddie Murphy wanted to test the makeup and costume out. So we got a golf cart, and he drove from one studio department to another in Paramount Studios. He would get out of the cart and say in his regular voice, "Hi, I'm Eddie Murphy." And no one believed him.
That's pretty solid stuff.
That's good shit. That's real good shit. Oh my god. They just thought it was a very odd old Jewish man that does a really good Eddie Murphy impersonation.
I don't know if that's if that's a comment on the makeup department being as good as they are, or Eddie Murphy being as good as he is at acting. I mean, when we get to the end of the movie, Amanda told me that was him, and I'm like, I did not realize that was him the whole time.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh my god, I love it.
I knew he played multiple characters. That's kind of his thing, but I didn't realize that one was him. I thought that was just some other dude.
Yes. Oh man, that one I'd probably attribute to the makeup directors, because if he went over there and literally stopped acting, is just like, hi, I'm Eddie Murphy, they're just like, bullshit. Absolutely not. Oh my god. Alright, next up, most of the dance performed by the royal dancers before presenting Prince Akeem's Queen to Be is a high-tempo rendition of the dance from Michael Jackson's Thriller in 1983. I love that. I completely did not catch that.
Would not have caught that myself either, but that's impressive.
Perfect. Now, final fun fact for the evening. When King Jaffe, Oha, and the entourage arrive at Akeem and Semi's slum apartment, Semi screams and slams the door in their faces. This was completely improvised by Arsenio Hall and not part of the script. It was such a hit with the production crew that it was worked into the final cut of the film. I'm so glad, because it's so perfect. It's like, it was at this moment Semi knew that he fucked up.
Man, where was Morgan Freeman with the narration for that one?
Ugh, mwah, I love it.
We'll hit some initial thoughts real quick going into the film. So this is the first time I've seen it, but considering the film's age, considering just the kind of humor you get from the 80s and early 90s that we've seen on this channel before, it has aged surprisingly well. And it's still really funny, even without dipping into being overly ridiculous. I mean, like, it does get ridiculous here and there, but, like, we've seen some movies that go a little too far with it. Overall, I think it has a really good balance, and I'm very impressed with it.
Very good, very good. I'm very happy to hear you say that, especially since it's your first time seeing it, and we know, like nostalgia can be a very blinding factor.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad your first impression is positive. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch this movie without just smiling from ear to ear the entire time. It's so nostalgic for me. This was my childhood growing up. And like the scene where James Earl Jones steps out of the limousine in New York with Mufasa on his fucking shoulder is still the hardest intro I've ever seen. I've yet to see anything else do it better, and it's just, I love this movie.
The only thing that comes close is in the Hercules animated movie where you see him wearing that scar fur.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. This was imposing though. This, especially with the music in the background, it felt like the king had arrived, and I was just like, yes, I'm all here for it. Initial thoughts: I love this shit. I wouldn't have put it on here if I didn't, and I'm amazingly happy to be talking about it today.
This has been a fun season. I appreciate everything you picked this year. I'm actually looking forward to doing something like this again next year. This has actually been a really nice shake up from what we normally do. So this has been fun. This has been really fun.
Yeah. It'll definitely be a lot of fun to tackle. I know Allegra really loved trying to distill some black cinema down for us. So it'll be fun to get another stab at it.
Oh yeah. I'm hoping one of these years we could do like a black film month, a women film month, maybe like an Asian film month to kind of tie it all up, and then like just fucking another Nick Cage month.
Because Nick Cage is yeah, absolutely.
He's his own race of human.
He is. He's his own species, I'm still pretty sure.
Well, I have a synopsis for you, Ryan. Are you ready for this?
I am. Let's get it.
It is the birthday of one Prince Akeem of Wakanda. I mean, Zamundan. While his father is away to give... while his father is willing to give him just about anything he wants, he refuses to let his son pick out his own bride-to-be. Akeem is disappointed and that he cannot get the woman with wisdom and intelligence to challenge him. So he requests to see the world under the pretense that he get laid a bunch. When really he seeks to find a more suitable woman to be his wife. He is joined by his friend/servant, Simi. They arrive in Queens, New York to find his queen. Subtle. I like it. They choose to live in the slums and get menial jobs in hopes of finding someone who is humble and not driven by greed and money. Good luck with that in the capitalist society, by the way. At a Black Awareness rally, Akeem meets Lisa, who gives an intellectual speech in between creepy speeches from a reverend. He finds that she works and gets a job handling trash at the legally distinct Not McDonald's. His anime love rival, Daryl, is introduced along with his own theme music and brand of hair product. He is currently dating Lisa, and Akeem must find a way to prove his worth over Daryl. He gives Lisa secret gifts and is an active listener to her problems, as Daryl kind of does all the work for him. It's like letting Republicans just shit themselves out of the White House for 4 years. Just gotta be patient, guys.
Oh my god.
Eventually, Semi is tired of playing second fiddle and being poor. He calls up Darth Vader and demands more money, but Vader arrives and demands to see his son. It is time for this forced marriage to be forced. But Akeem's secret gets out, and Lisa gets mad about having been lied to this whole time. She rejects Akeem, and he is sent home to marry his slave of a wife. The wedding day happens under the veil. It is a surprise to Akeem, and presumably the audience, that Lisa is under there. She came all the way to Wakanda to marry him. Sure, would have been nice to see how she changed her mind and made the trip without him knowing. Another story, perhaps, for another film.
Oh, man.
So yeah, let's start with the big point I want to bring up. This is our first time getting to talk about Eddie Murphy on this show. What were your thoughts on his performances overall? Like, this guy killed it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. This is, like, it's hilarious because this is one of his more subdued roles.
It really is. Like, so I've seen him in a handful of things. I've seen him in Dr. Dolittle, I've seen him in Nutty Professor, and I've seen him in Shrek, obviously. Those are the three that I remember the most seeing him in. I'm pretty sure I've seen other stuff he's been in, but those are the ones that come to mind first. And he does get pretty out there in most of those. Like, he gets pretty physical, pretty energetic. He was very subdued, very calm, very chill, and it was very different.
Yeah, I think also what I really love about this is that this movie actually shows how good of an actor he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, aside from being an amazing comedian, just a comedic genius. Like, when the story called for those deeper story beats and like the very romantic like moments between him and Lisa, he fucking runs it, dude. He kills it. So I think this is one of the greatest showcases of like the ridiculous amount of talent that he has.
Mm-hmm. And that's on top of the fact he's also playing multiple characters too. He plays a lot of the characters in the barbershop. And is there anyone else he plays outside of that?
Let's see. I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's mostly just the barbershop.
Gotcha. But yeah, he plays a hell of a lot of those guys, and on top of his performance too, it's just like he's all over the place, but in a way that it works really well that other actors probably couldn't do. Like, I've never seen a movie where, like, for example, I've never seen a prominent white actor play multiple characters in a film to the degree he does here. And it's...
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting just how well he does it. I'm wondering if it's just his unique style. Because, I mean, it's not necessarily him completely, because Arsenio Hall does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm surprised these two can do it so well. And I've never seen anyone outside of these two pull it off, even, like, remotely. Like, I've seen... Like, for example, we've seen Hugh Jackman play himself and a clone of himself, but that doesn't count. Like, those aren't two different characters, guys. It's the same character in two places.
Everybody's had to do some type of clone movie every now and again.
But, like, we've never seen anyone like Tom Cruise or Jackie Chan play, like, a different character on top of their main character. Like, okay, I take it back. We've seen Benedict Cumberbatch do it once, but that was a voice. I don't know if that counts. I don't think it counts. I'm not going to count it. But, like, yeah, no, this is just some really impressive stuff. As for Arsenio Hall, I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else, to my recollection.
Yeah, he's more notably known for his show that he runs, the Arsenio Hall show. But he's also a very prominent stand-up comedian, and he's also been in some more movies as well, with a kind of similar tone.
Gotcha. I assume a film like this he got pulled into because he's probably like good friends with Eddie Murphy or knows the guy really well. It's like, hey, we can riff on each other pretty good. You got to be in this with me.
Yeah. I mean, it also says a lot. If you think super highly of Eddie Murphy, he pulls Arsenio in to also, like, because they pretty much co-run the whole movie pretty much. Like, it's either Akeem and Semi like carrying the main storyline, or they're playing like these ridiculous side characters that just give like a bunch of things to bounce back and forth off of. So if Eddie thinks that Arsenio can keep up with him, that says something.
Absolutely. So speaking of Arsenio Hall's other characters, so I have to ask, what was up with the Reverend? Like, so I have seen that style of Reverend played in other films. What is that? What is that a reference to something I don't get? Because like that character's ridiculous and also creepy.
No, man, that's a reference to real black preachers. Sometimes I've known that preacher. I've known many of those preachers. Not as ridiculous and nowhere near as lewd. It's definitely a caricature, but it is a caricature off of something in black culture. Yes, yes, that preacher exists. Those preachers exist.
See, I wanted to ask that directly like that, but I didn't want to say it. Be like, that could come off as racist. So I just was generally broad, like saying, hey, is this a thing I don't get? Because I think it's a thing.
Oh yeah,
I'm
gonna tell you. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like especially like me growing up as a preacher's son in a Baptist church, I can 100% tell you those guys exist.
Okay. Going back to Arsenio Hall's other role, though, Semi. So, what is Semi to Akeem? Is he a friend, a servant, an equal? Like, what is he exactly? Because he kind of does a little bit of everything.
He's definitely not an equal, but I'd say he's kind of he's definitely one of Akeem's closest friends. I'd say he's something like not exactly a servant, but kind of a servant. I mean, everybody's a servant to the royal family, but he's pretty much more his close friend, but as also a servant as well. And you don't see him immediately pull rank. You don't see Akeem immediately essentially pull rank on Semi too often, but you also see Semi kind of circumvent what Akeem wants, which shows that he's subservient, but he's not like immediately like prostrating himself on the ground face first. Oh my God, Your Majesty. He's not that guy because he knows Akeem too well.
I was saying, it implies that he knows Akeem closer enough that he doesn't really see the royal figure. He just sees the dude that he kind of hangs out with all the time. Like he respects the role, but he's like, listen, I know you, Akeem. I'm gonna do my own thing, but we're cool, right?
I mean, Semi almost fucked the entire game up.
He did,
but...
yeah. Multiple times, honestly.
Cause surely, but he was a bit tired of living below their standards. He's like, this is horrible.
And you know what? I don't disagree with him, to be fair. Like, I get what Akeem wants to do, but I think he may have gone a little too extreme with what he wanted.
I mean, the thing about it is that Akeem could maintain that focus and be okay with everything else around him because of Lisa, because he actually found the person that he was really interested in, and all of his effort was going towards building a good relationship with her. Semi was just there to be backup for Akeem, and he couldn't even really do anything. So he had no active goal to work towards. It was just live in squalor, and if I need something, you gotta be there. So I can see why he got fed up. I can see it. He did fuck it up, but I see why it happened.
Well, and we saw the apartment when they first got there. There was rats, everything. And it's like, yeah, you could step up a little higher than this. Like, I get you want to appear like poor. That's fine, but like maybe like livable poor, not like, oh, we're dying poor.
He opened the apartment, and there was still crime scene tape.
Oh yeah, no.
It's a damn shame what happened to that dog.
That scene was great. That scene was awesome. What do you make? So these are a few different questions that kind of tie to the themes of the film. What do you make of the idea that a stellar attitude will make even the most menial job worth it? And do you agree with this, or does this feel like a capitalist enforced message?
So here's the thing. I think if we're looking at Akeem's overall positive attitude, I think it goes back to what I just said. Like, he could endure everything else that was shitty because he had the one goal that he was working towards and actually making progress on. I think that's really... I think Akeem himself is just a really awesome person, but aside from that, he also had that one goal that he was working on. That one thing that made all of the horrible shit worth it. Also, I think he just kept in his mind that this isn't permanent, that once this is over, we're going back to live in, I am the prince of Zamunda, and like this is more important to me right now especially because I found this person and I want to spend the rest of my life with them. So I think, yeah, before I overcomplicate myself, it's not I don't think it's necessarily like a capitalist pushing like or capitalist leaning message, but more just all the work that he put in was okay with him because of his goal.
I think what sucks about that, though, is it kind of is undermined by the fact that he does have a safety net to fall on. If this didn't work out, oh, hey, I can go home to the castle, the palace, and just chill out for the rest of my days. Like, if this is messed up, it's like, oh, well, I guess I can just do what I gotta do. He wouldn't necessarily have been happy, but, I mean, he would have been very comfortable for the most part.
This is very true. And I think they, like, I don't know if they tried to walk that back, but I think it's addressed when he offers to give up his throne for Lisa on the subway. Just like, I really don't care about that. If I were to spend the rest of my life with you and I worked at McDonald's for the rest of my life, I think he would have been okay. Personally, I think Simi would have been absolutely not, but...
Well, I mean, Simi would have gone back home, probably.
Yeah, Simi would have been like, alright, deuces. You've renounced your throne? Man, fuck you for making me do this shit. I'm out.
It was definitely interesting, because, I mean, they get into the conversation, too, about, like, she even says, like, you know, you can keep this upbeat attitude with everything here. And I just have to wonder, like, is there something to it where if you do just approach everything with this super positive attitude, everything can just kind of wash away and you can maybe be more successful?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I mean, like, I do think there is something to the power of positive thinking and like, trying to dwell more on the positive things, but there's the opposite side of that coin where you can try to only look at the positive things and completely disregard all the negativity that you feel, and then you're just bottling up emotions, and that's never good. I think being able to process the shit that's happening to you is essential, and then once that happens and you're not dwelling on the bad things, but you dwell on the good and on the goals that you want to hit moving forward, I think that can carry you a long way in life. It's just easy to... It's a balancing act that you have to achieve. It's not just, only be positive and positive things will work out for you. It's not only that. It's a tricky balance to maintain.
Well, it's funny, too, because, and this is going to be slightly off topic, but there's an episode of King of the Hill I saw recently that... No, it actually is important. It is the exact opposite message, where Bobby gets a job working at the racetrack, delivering drinks and shit, and his boss is a complete idiot, making him do these dangerous things, and just, like, it's not safe, it's not good for him. But every time he goes to Hank to kind of complain about it, Hank's like giving him advice, like, oh, you go with the positive attitude, if you give 110%, yada yada, the usual rhetoric he gives. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where it's like, yes, this is good advice, Hank, but you need to listen to Bobby. His boss is mentally handicapped and giving him really, really bad directions and really, really bad orders on what to do and putting your kid's life in danger. And until he's actually there to witness it himself, he does not believe anything Bobby says. And so once he sees it, he's like, oh, shit, I probably should have listened to Bobby the whole time. Fuck. And then he goes to kick the guy's ass. And the lesson there, obviously, is, yes, positive thinking is great, but there is a hard limit at some point.
Yes, there is a hard limit.
Like, if your life is in danger, if you don't feel like this job is worth your time or if you don't feel like this job values you, then that's the hard limit right there. And I think that is something this movie doesn't address, but at the same time, it's a comedy, so it's not gonna take that direction. It wasn't intending to, but that is something that it does ignore.
Yeah,
Because McDonald's will not value you as a person. I'm sorry, they will not.
No, McDowell absolutely was not valuing like them as a person. But at the same time, they did a good job of not making his character just completely horrible. Because he is funny, and every time he's on screen, like, you're getting some laughs out of it. But it is a very like quintessential capitalist mindset where he even thinks that he's doing them a favor by having them work an extra shift as a valet at his house, which is great because they need the money, but also sucks. And like he thinks he's doing something really nice, but it's like, come see my humble abode. One day in 20 or 30 years, all this might be yours if you just work hard. And it's just like, all right, guy.
When he said that, my heart sank. I'm like, no, please don't say that.
But at the same time, they also balance it out because like you find out that the reason that he does all of these things and the reason why he's so concerned with money is because he growing up and him with his wife struggled like very, very hard in this capitalist society. And now that he's made it so that his kids don't have to do that, his main concern is making sure that his daughter never has to deal with that. It's a nice little balance.
Which is fair, but at the same time, though, his generation, I am assuming the baby boomers, that's how a lot of them grew up. They started with nothing, and they worked to get something. And now we're in a situation where our generation and the next generation below us are struggling a little harder because of the fact that there are so many rules and things that have not changed in so long that we can't possibly keep up with what they did because they just raised that ceiling so high, and the means to get there are so much more difficult. And it's a whole different conversation, but to be fair, but still, like that's something that I don't think this was ever intended to address either.
Yeah, they weren't looking at that in 1988, man. They were just trying to make you laugh. They were just trying to tell a funny romantic story, B. They weren't looking at the conditions of the working class and what we're doing to the generation behind us. No.
I mean, they kind of touch on some of those things, but not enough to really dive deep. They brush it. They brush it just slightly, and they move on. Yeah, and it's interesting, like how close they are to saying something, but they're like, "Nah, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing something." Anyway, I have more questions. That's like question 3. What do you make of Akeem quoting nihilist philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche?
I think it's more of a surface level thing where it shows not only that Akeem has been educated, like thoroughly educated, but he also has some depth to him of his own. Because when he brings it up, you kind of get the feeling that he's not just bringing it up to show off that he knows Nietzsche, but he brings it up because he tries to apply the things that he's learned to like his life. So it shows him as a deeper character to Lisa and to the audience as well. I'm not gonna go out and say that makes him a nihilist immediately, but I think it's supposed to show that his character has some depth to him.
That's fair. I'm not saying anyone who quotes Nietzsche is a nihilist, but that is something that he is known for. So it's like, oh, hey, how do you know this guy so well?
Yeah.
What does this movie seem to say about the idea of your identity versus the role you have in society?
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm hammering this one home.
Questions. The deep ones. I don't know. I think the role of the idea of your identity versus the role that you have in society. I think a lot of people seem to think that they are one and the same, and that your role in society constitutes your worth as a person. You see that with John Amos's character, with Lisa's dad.
Cleo, yeah.
Cleo. You see that to kind of the reverse, but also magnified extent with King Jaffe Joffer. You see that with Eric, with the fucking Soul Glow man over there.
The anime rival.
Right. So you see these kinds of things where people equate like your place in society with your worth as a person. And Akeem goes against the grain because he wants to find someone who appeals to him as a person rather than his place in society. So I think it's very interesting that it kind of sets everybody up as thinking they're one and the same, and your protagonist is the one that challenges that idea, and he finds someone who also feels that same way, and that's why they match so well.
Well, and what's interesting about that too, because you bring it up, most stories, the arc of the story is the arc of the main character. They change from one way to another by the end of the film. I don't think Akeem really changes in this movie at all, but I think the world around him changes based on his actions. And it's a very interesting way to tell it. Like, because the entire time I was watching the movie, I'm like, okay, so Akeem is a smart, well-mannered intellectual who has some very, very positive, very equal ideas in regards to women's role in the world, to race relations, everything. Like, he's a very, like, he's a good person. So what arc could he possibly go under that's going to be changing his character for the better? Because he's kind of the best character to start with. And you find out that, oh, it's not that he's changing, he's making everyone else change around him.
Yeah, I mean, he gets more exposed to the world outside, and you see him becoming a little less naive in terms of what people go through and like the work that requires it. But that's absolutely a very small part of his journey, because he takes all of those challenges in stride. Like it never really phases him, even as he actually learns to be more competent and to be more responsible in terms of working a shitty job at McDowell's. Like, he takes all of that in stride, but the core of his character is exactly what you just said, and he doesn't change, but rather he forces everybody else to change around him.
It's almost like the average Captain America story, not the movies, but like in general. Like, it's not so much he changes, but he makes everything change around him because he is the moral core of his story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we're saying here is Eddie Murphy's character, Akeem, is Captain, what's the country's name again?
Captain Zamunda.
So he's Captain Zamunda, yeah.
I love it.
I'll skip the next one here and move on to this one. Does Akeem have a healthy relationship with his parents? Why or why not?
I would say he had. I mean, what relationship with their parents is actually healthy? There's like there are issues to every relationship between a parent and child. I think theirs is a bit more exacerbated because of the status that they've grown up in and how their lives are structured, with everybody else pretty much waiting on their every whim. It creates some distance, especially, like, I mean, they start you off with him sitting fucking 20 feet away from his parents, talking over intercom, and it's Akeem who tries to break tradition to get a little closer to them, but they're just not really hearing what he has to say, so he has to go off and do his own thing.
Looking at the dynamic of the parents too, it's interesting how it's common too. The dad doesn't listen to him at all. Like, obviously, he says one thing, his dad interprets it as a whole other thing. But I appreciate that when the ball is in, when the count is going down, and the film's coming near an end, the mom steps in and is like, "Hey, listen, you gotta let your son do this. He this is what he wants. You gotta respect what he's looking for." And she opens the door to kind of get the dad to finally chill out and just let things happen. And it's a very interesting turn at the end. Not a twist per se, but like, it's a nice turn into the ending we do get. Even if I do have some minor nitpicks with it. I do.
I also kind of piggybacking off of that. I love that it's you kind of get the juxtaposition of that, because the movie pretty much starts out with Akeem trying to get closer to his parents and trying to communicate, but having a failure of communication, so he goes off. And then towards the end of the movie, it's the parents who have to come to Akeem, and they still kind of don't really see eye to eye, but eventually they make that final step and they actually listen to what he's saying. Mm-hmm. And so I think by the end of it, they have a much more open dialogue, but you see that kind of in the wings of the story. It's not like it's not main stage, but it's definitely a kind of a side story, side progression.
It's relevant, but not like the main focus.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you definitely see the growth. You definitely see the things repairing themselves by the end. And it'd be nice if they could dive into it a bit more. But I get they're stretched for time as it is. But I don't know. It's just interesting how it all grows. Speaking of the mom, though, what is the role of women in this film? And are they given equal standing to the men of the film?
Oh, boy. Jeez. They are not. Let's just start there. They're not.
Yeah, they're prizes, unfortunately.
They are...
When you really break it down, they are prizes to be won by the main character. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of how it goes.
I feel like, damn. See, I want to refute this claim, but I know I can't really. It's troubling. Well, yeah, it is troubling. But I mean, it's difficult for me because the focus of the story, or at least the idea of the story in my head, is that he was looking for a woman who loved him for who he was, not his status, not for his title, and it's after she finds out his title that it's in jeopardy, not because he's a prince, but because he was lying, and I don't know, it places the ball in her court. I don't feel like he's. No, you're right. There are prizes to be won. I can't do it. I cannot actually refute this claim.
And I'm not trying to dig at this film. It's still a lot of fun regardless of this, but
it was made in the 80s.
Yeah, it's hard.
I understand.
It's really hard to overlook that. It really is, especially because when the main thrust is he's trying to find a woman who can be equal to him in terms of intelligence and conversation. It kind of gets reduced down to the whole prize thing, and it's how do you balance this better? It's really hard to do. It really is.
It is. Allegra also brought up an issue that I was really unaware of because it's more prevalent within black amongst black women.
Okay.
Like this idea of colorism and how it is the more fairer skin tone, the higher skin toned females that are always kind of portrayed as the pinnacle, the most beautiful, the kindest, the noblest, the wisest.
I did notice that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, as compared to her sister, who was definitely of a darker skin tone and was really materialistic and driven by sex and and money and all of these things. It was so it wasn't something that I clocked in all of my viewings of it, but I actually just got through watching it with Allegra, and she brought up the troubling feelings that it made her feel because she has an older sister who is lighter skin tone than her, and so it was kind of just it was kind of like her life. Not exactly, they didn't have that relationship really because her sister's much older than her. But there were always questions from people outside their family why don't you look like your sister? Why aren't, when are you going to get pretty like your sister? And, it's a whole thing.
That seems really gross, actually. Oof.
Yeah, no, it's really fucked up.
Yeah, don't even know how to respond to that one. It's another thing that bugs me that now you bring up that does kind of bug me about this. I get it's an issue, but it's one of those things it didn't have to be an issue if you guys didn't put it in the film as a thing. If you switched the roles around or made them both the same skin tone, it wouldn't even be a consideration then. But yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, there's the idea that how much is the movie really going to make if we book the main female romantic lead as someone that's super dark. So
you have Eddie Murphy as your title character. You shouldn't have to worry about that.
This is primarily aimed towards black women, though, because when you look at European beauty standards for women, it's all white women. So in black society, the closer you are to white, the prettier you are. And that's dumb. That sucks.
It's really uncomfortable, but I get what you're saying, though. I really do.
Yeah.
On a more lighter note, are you disappointed, Ryan, that there is not some kind of showdown between Akeem and his anime rival?
I'm really not, because every time Akeem and what the fuck even is his name? Daryl. Akeem and Daryl are on screen. Akeem just wins. Daryl's not even competition at this point. He's only considered competition because he was dating her first. And really, Akeem is just there and he's trying to learn about her, and then he just played himself out of the game. Congratulations, you played yourself. So it's all really his fuck ups that just kind of push him out of contention. So the idea that it doesn't actually boil down to Akeem versus Daryl is because Daryl's not even in the same league as Akeem, both financially, which nobody knows because he's fucking a prince, but also just as a person, as a man, he's just a much better person than Daryl. So it's not even worth considering.
No, I get you, but part of me is just like, I wish I could see Daryl try to start something just to get smacked down really hard. Not even by Akeem, but maybe semi-steps. It's like, no, you ain't touching the prince. Get the fuck down.
No, but he gets smacked down by the dad, and that's hilarious to me. Because the dad is the materialistic one, and he gets tricked into making the right choice because Akeem is worth more than Daryl. But so he's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, and it just makes me laugh.
No, I get that. I just imagine a world where the rivals fight, though. That's my anime. That's my weeaboo in me. What do you make of the ending of in Lisa's final choice, and why do you think she eventually changed her mind?
I mean, I think after the heat of the moment dies down, and after what I'm assuming was an actual apology from King Jaffe Joffer, which I would have paid so much money to see.
That should have been a scene.
It should have been a scene, but at the same time they wanted the twist.
It's not really a twist, though.
It's nice. Everything's lovely now.
It's not really a twist, though. We all saw it coming a mile away.
I mean, yeah, but still.
The real twist would have been if he'd been trying to marry her like the original arranged marriage, and then Lisa steps in doing the whole "I object" at the very end. That would have been the twist.
I think they just wanted that final shot to be all happy joy and no more drama, because it's already a really somber note where he makes this really heartfelt plea, and you can see she wants to say yes, but there's just so many things in her head that's like, no, this isn't gonna work, and so she says no, and then he's just sad all throughout the trip back. And then he's standing at the altar just sad again, and it's just it makes sense for the pseudo twist to be everything is happy now. It's yay.
Yeah. I sort of like to have seen a 2-minute scene with James Earl Jones, though, just saying, I apologize, please come to my son. He actually cares about you.
I definitely wanted that scene, though, honest to God, because you never... when you look at the character of King Jaffe Joffer, all you really get as a hint towards this shift in thinking is his wife bitching him out. It's just I thought you were the king, dog, come on. And that's it. So you never really get to see him swallow his pride and talk to this young woman, because he realizes that he might have fucked up his son's chance at love. So, I wanted to see him make that connection. I wanted to see him actually take that step in his character arc. But we have to just assume that happened.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have seen Lisa make the choice versus just the choice has been made and here she is.
Yeah, that too.
Last 2 questions here, Ryan. How do you feel this film helped shape Eddie Murphy's career?
Man, I mean... I can't imagine that it was anything but phenomenal. I think at this point he's not only a superstar in comedy, but he's also been in a bunch of movies. I'm thinking Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd. I'm thinking Beverly Hills Cop. I'm thinking The Golden Child. He's had at this point, and I don't know the exact filmography or the timeline of these films and when they come out, so I can't tell you exactly how it shaped going forward. But when I tell you that pretty much every black person knows this film, it's a classic. It is an actual staple in black culture from this time period. So I can only say good things about his career moving forward from this.
Let's see. So I'm on the IMDb right now. So it is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's his 7th movie. Ignoring like his short specials and whatnot. And after this one, his next real movie is Harlem Nights. Then another 48 Hours. Then Boomerang. Then Distinguished Gentleman. Then Beverly Hills Cop 3 in 94.
Yeah.
Vampire in Brooklyn. I haven't seen that.
Ooh, Vampire in Brooklyn. Oh, shit. Yeah.
So if we do a vampire season, that's going to make the short list because I kind of want to see that. That sounds really good. Mulan, Nutty Professor, so... I don't think his career really explodes after. Like, he does stuff, sure, but, like... None of it, like...
I feel like I feel like he hits it in his stride of some of his best movies.
Yeah. Before
it starts to get a little gimmicky with, like, the Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
but in, like, within the 80s, I feel like is where he hits his high point. And I think Beverly Hills Cop is kind of in the middle or possibly a little bit towards the end of that. So it's more just like a stream of really good fucking movies at that point. He also does the movie Life with Martin Lawrence, which was a fucking phenomenal film as well.
When did that come out? 1999.
Yeah, Life is really good.
Okay. Keep that on the short list for a future season as well. And then he hit Shrek in 2001, and that's kind of where he just stayed for a while.
Yeah.
Not blaming him. That's a money train right there. It's a very fascinating filmography. Like, it's not consistent anyway. It's all over the place.
It is. But I think he noticed when his kind of reign was coming to a close, and like as like the comedy landscape started to change around him, I think he quit while he was ahead. I mean, he obviously comes back and he does a couple more projects, and now he's doing more stuff like currently, but I think he just took 20 years and just chilled on the millions and millions that he made. Which I mean, I can credit him for that. I mean, he earned that shit, and he went out on top, I think.
Absolutely. It's better to leave before you become the joke versus just making jokes, I guess.
Yeah.
Last question before we move on to the review. Ryan, why did you pick this film for this season?
So again, staple, black classic. Absolutely. It is, like you mentioned earlier, it holds up so well for a 30-year-old movie.
Not a lot to do.
The comedy really, really holds up. But also, aside from being really, really good comedy, I really like the romantic aspect of it. Like This movie is kind of one of the things that made me a romantic growing up. It's just like, it was like I wanted to walk down the street singing "Someone to Care, Someone to Share." Like that was I wanted that. And growing up, it kind of shaped me. So I wanted to have something funny. I also wanted to have something romantic. And I wanted to close out on a very well-known black film that I think everybody will enjoy.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you picked it. I think it's a very solid one to end on after 3 or 4 weeks of very heavy social commentary.
Yeah, we had some real sad shit. I'm like, we gotta get some laughs in here, guys.
So this is definitely a strong note to end on, especially when we go into next season, which, if the schedule holds out, everybody, next week you're getting Rage in the Cage, which I don't think you expected. We certainly didn't.
Nobody expects Nicolas Cage.
Surprise Cage attack. That's what it is.
Surprise Cage attack.
So yeah, no, this is definitely a really good transition to what we're doing next. Just more goofy, off-the-wall stuff, even though I think with Nick Cage it's not intentional. But
it's not always intentional.
Not always intentional. But this is definitely a good transition to that, and I think that it's a solid note to end this season on. It's a lot of fun. It's just been a lot of fun this season. I'm looking forward to doing this again sometime in the near future, hopefully within the next year, because this is definitely a unique dip into different films I've never seen that is just kind of a much-needed experience. I think everyone should be, not necessarily with just black films, but just any film. If you haven't seen it and it sounds even remotely interesting, give it a look, guys. What are you going to lose? An hour and a half of your time?
I am very, very happy to hear you say that. I'm very happy that you enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie, I was sweating bullets with the prospect of actually picking the shows, the movies. I usually just show up, watch the thing, and talk for a while. So I'm glad that you enjoyed the picks, and I hope that you listeners also enjoyed going on this journey with me. If you want to see more of this stuff, let us know in the comments and email.
Absolutely. You can reach out to us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. And Ryan, if they want to email us directly, what is that email you mentioned?
That email is King Jaffe Jofur still has the baddest entrance I've ever seen. Sorry. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
I know. The Bride-to-Be had a pretty ridiculous entrance, too. I made the joke when we were watching it. I'm like, can you imagine if she went everywhere and this is how she entered a building? Like, let's say she walks into Walmart. These dancers have to do this for like fucking 5 minutes before she could go shopping.
Fun thing. As soon as Oha started singing "Your Queen to Be," I was just like, oh man, I love this song. You know, maybe if we do like a, maybe we could, when Allegra and I make that step, we can have like somebody sing that during like our engagement party. And then I started listening to the lyrics, and I was just like, oh no. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, no, this is remarkably sexist. It's hilariously sexist, so maybe not.
Probably intentionally so, but not meant to be mean, just, yes.
A queen to do whatever her highness desires. Maybe not. I think her family would have some words.
I mean, you could still do it, but just maybe change the wording a little bit. I think it'd be fine.
She'd smack the shit out of me. Nah, we can't do that. We can't do that. Maybe I'll have that "To Be Loved" song play as one of the dances at the wedding.
Maybe.
That might be cool.
Maybe. So this is the part of the episode where we rank the episode from platinum to trash and all the colors in between. Ryan, I'll let you take the floor. Where would you rank this movie?
Okay, this one, I'm going to be selfish. This is my personal platinum because it shaped me as a young child. It holds up 30 fucking years later. It's just all around funny, and it keeps you laughing without getting offensive. Like the things that you could get offended at are so ridiculous that you know they're just being ridiculous and nobody's feelings are hurt. So it's just, see this movie. See this movie. It holds up after 30 years, guys. If Aaron can watch it blind and still like it, I think everybody should give it a shot.
I mostly agree. I don't think I can give it a full platinum. Like I mentioned earlier, my main critique is just how the role of women is in this are in this film. And that's not really an indictment of this film, but just kind of the era it was made in.
Absolutely.
And so it's not, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like I can't just blatantly ignore it. So I think it's going to be a solid gold for me, because everything else works on all cylinders. Everything else is working great. It's just, it's falling short in one area, and if it could just patch it up in like a, in a 1.0.5 patch, it'd be great.
Or in, a sequel.
Ryan.
Who knows?
A sequel for a movie that was out in 1988, I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Wink.
Yeah, you're right. Nothing that ridiculous would ever come up.
Yeah, when was the last time we had a movie sequel to a 30-year-old film? Wait.
I can't even see it.
Wait, when did we have one of those? I know we had one recently. I don't think...
The only thing I can think of is Jurassic World.
That wasn't 30 years. That was like 15. I'm trying to think. I know there was something recently. I guess Ghostbusters technically is getting one. But technically that's not even out yet. It was supposed to be out last year, and it got pushed back to this year. And it might get pushed back again. Ryan, did you know Morbius got pushed back to fucking 2022?
No! Jared Leto, I wanted to see it.
I want to see his human living vampire. You do realize, though, this means I have a full excuse to make 2022's Halloween-themed vampires.
God damn it.
It'll happen. Just you wait.
All right.
Well,
we haven't done a vampire season yet.
We haven't, and there's so many good ones.
There are. Vampire in Brooklyn, for one.
Mm-hmm. What's the one with Willem Dafoe and the muscle cars? Daybreakers. That's a good one.
Ooh, okay.
That's a real good one. We're getting way off topic, so thank you for listening. And we'll see you after the podcast. Or after the credits. Shit. I fucked it up.
Goodbye. Nope, we're ending it now. Oh, God.
Queen to be, a queen to be forever, a queen who'll do whatever His Highness desires.
Boss, I've done it.
Excellent. You have given the tapes to our operative in the field?
Yes, the episodes have been censored. No one will know about when the podcasts go live.
Oh, Agent Twilight. It appears we have to censor you too.
Wait, what?
Did you really think we would let you live after all this? You know too much. After last time, I refused to leave loose ends.
And when I'm done cleaning up this mess, I'll be sure to pay those movie boys a little visit as well.
No one can stop
the
Monarch.
monarch.